How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another 76 build guide for season 22, and I got a fun one here for y'all. This is a sneak commando build that works fully for the raids, but also the primary focus of this build is to one-tap the shield generator of the Guardian. Now this build has no problem soloing the raid on its own with or without power armor, which we are going to be using non-PA, and it does give us the ability to one-tap the shield generator, and if you do plan on playing with people, you'll be able to be a really good support in that regard. So let's get down to it, check out the perk cards, and show you guys the gear. So for our perk point distribution, you guys can pause the video if you'd like, but we have 8 strength, 15 perception, 7 endurance, 3 charisma, 3 intelligence, 10 agility, and 10 luck. Now for our perk cards, for strength, we have Bulletstorm and Lock and Load, just those two because we are using a quad Elder's Mark. This build doesn't need to have the double stacking, so you don't need to worry about it unless you really want to. We have easy target for extra damage for crippling limbs. Perception, we have Number Cruncher, Downranger, Tormentor, and Tank Killer for the main damage, plus Center Mass for the Guardian. If you want, you can replace Downranger if you'd like. This is here for anyone who wants to sit further away when they're trying to sneak. And when you look at agility, we do have Gorilla, which is the close range damage instead. I keep them both because it doesn't matter where I stand, I'll be getting a little bit of extra damage. Radiation power is a must, at least for the Guardian stage for the shield. Afterwards, you can replace it if you would like with anything else you want. For intelligence, we have Science Monster, so we can deal extra damage when we take damage. We have our double crippling cards for agility and sneak cards, and our critical setup and luck. Now for our legendaries, we have the same 5 perk cards that we use for every single build and any future builds, which is going to be endurance, luck, intelligence, strength, and agility, all maxed out. Now for the 6th card, that is completely up to you in terms of what you want to use. I do recommend taking for the team for extra damage if you're playing with a team, or Funky Duds if you want a little bit more defensive or defenses towards stage 4 and the snake's poison. Now let's move on to the weapons. This Stalker's Crippling Lucky Hit Pinpointer's Dragon is by far one of the best setups that I have found that can deal the most amount of damage to the Guardian Shield, whether it's being able to one-tap it, half-health it, or get it down to just a sliver of HP. Now in order for this to work, you have to use the perk cards that we've shown. There is a certain armor legendary set that you need to work with, and there is a lot of buffs that you need to apply. Unfortunately, that is going to be one of the downsides of this build, is that it does require a lot of buffs and damage. Now let's move on to our main damage weapon, which is the Elder's Mark. I like to run a quad faster fire rate lucky hit pinpointer setup because we do have the armor and perk card setup for critting every other shot with just 1 limit breaking armor piece. Other people do enjoy the Furious for more damage, which is perfectly fine. If that's what you want to do, you can, but you're going to have to opt out a lot of cards in agility if you want to take advantage of Furious, which is perfectly fine. The build is capable and able to take advantage of a Furious build if you do not want to use the crippling setup for the Guardian Shield. But for our mods, we have Prime Receiver, Short Barrel Recoil Compensating Stock, Large Quick Eject Drum, and the Reflex Sight with Suppressor. Now as I mentioned earlier, we do have the armor setup and perk card setup to allow us to crit every other shot using Lucky Hit 3-star, plus 2 luck on all of our pieces, our perk point distribution and legendary perk card, and having 1 limit breaking 4-star for our armor. The other 4 legendaries, 4-star legendaries for our armor has to be rangers for that extra damage so we can push out more damage for our sneak attack to break the shield. Otherwise, again, if you don't want to do that or you don't care for it, one tapping the shield, you can use whatever 4-star you want. But our 1-star, we're using Vanguards, 2-star luck, and 3-star through hikers. To answer any questions as to why do I have through hikers but have the perk cards equipped, it's because not everybody is going to use the through hikers 3-star, and I'm not going to force you guys to use a certain 3-star if it's something that you don't normally use and all of your armor pieces are specific for a different carry weight. And it's not that important that it's going to affect the build that much. But all the armor pieces are running buttressed with deep pockets except for the torso with padded for extra defenses towards explosives. Now one important thing about this build is that you need to have the crit already pre-charged. So fill your crit bar before you enter and do the Guardian, because once you shoot, that's it. Now buffs are required if you want to be able to get to the 1-tap or even get it super duper low. and you want to use a crit food buff, your Black-Eyed Susan Soothe, and if possible, a Ballistic Bach, Overdrive, Guns and Bullets 3, and the Small Guns Bobblehead. Now with all those buffs plus your armor, your weapon, sneak, and a pre-charged crit, you will be able to one-tap those shield generators for the Guardian. Now afterwards, you will have to wait a few seconds unless you know how to bypass the cooldown timer, but any single fire black powder weapon there is a delay before you can start firing again or with another weapon. So keep that in mind. Now occasionally you will experience something like this where it'll basically one-tap it, but it's not registering that it's fully dead. So you can do one of two things. You can either use a tomahawk to try and take it out, or you can just spam your VATS on it, because when you take damage, you'll be able to have a split second to be able to shoot past the Guardian and hit the shield. But this is another run where we're able to clear the Guardian and no problem, using the perk cards, the build, and the setup, and it looks like we are clearing it within about a minute. Now, it's not the fastest, but it is fun to do. Now for the snake, it's not doing as much damage as you would with a Furious setup, but it's still fast enough and strong enough to tear through it pretty quickly. And with the Funky Duds legendary perk card on our 6th slot, it makes this a lot easier and a hell of a lot more safe to run. But of course, if you're running with a team, you can always do take one for the team for even more damage, and you can still survive the poison. You just have to make sure that you are stimming and moving before the poison takes you out. Otherwise, if you sit in one spot for too long, you're probably going to get downed. But yeah, this build is quite tanky when it comes to all the other stages. I don't know what happened to my stage 3, but solo, any stage 3 solo is actually kind of rough. But it is able to tank a lot of the damage. And as long as you're keeping an eye out on your health and your stimming and potentially popping your toxic goos to keep your glow up, you'll be able to clear it in a few minutes. It's not too bad. But I will not be killing the snake in this clip because I'm going to end up walking into the Gatorade because I want to save the checkpoint so I can do some more testing in the future. But that about covers it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, found the information useful. If this is something that you are considering, I hope you like it. I hope you have fun with it. But if you guys have questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to answer as best as I can. And if you guys would like to come and hang out with us in the live streams, we do stream on Twitch and here on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, turn on the notifications. There's a link to the channel as well in the description. But I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. As always, happy hunting, good luck, and I'll see you guys in the next one.